The rain hammers against the dormer window like 1,000 impatient fingers. Inside the cramped attic of a narrow townhouse in Portsmouth, England, 16-year-old Thomas Whittaker sits hunched over a makeshift radio station. A chaotic nest of salvaged vacuum tubes, wire coils, and hand-soldered circuits sprawled across a battered oak desk. The only light comes from a single naked bulb swaying on a frayed cord, casting shadows that dance across maps of the North Atlantic pinned to the slanted walls. It's November 1942. Britain is bleeding. Every week, German U-boats sink thousands of tons of Allied shipping, cargo vessels, tankers, troop transports, sending men and material to the freezing depths of the ocean. The Battle of the Atlantic is a war of attrition, silent and savage, fought in darkness beneath the waves. Thomas doesn't look like a hero. Thin-framed, with wire-rimmed glasses perpetually slipping down his nose, he's the kind of boy who gets shoved in school corridors and picked last for football. But up here, in this private kingdom of oscillating frequencies and crackling static, he's something else entirely. He's a listener, a hunter of invisible voices. His father, now somewhere in North Africa with the 8th Army, had been an amateur radio enthusiast before the war. He'd taught Thomas the fundamentals: how to build a receiver from scrap, how to navigate the electromagnetic spectrum, how to distinguish signal from noise. When conscription took him away, he'd left behind boxes of components and a single piece of advice scrawled on the back of a cigarette packet: "Listen carefully, Tommy. The world speaks if you know how to hear it." Tonight, Thomas is sweeping the shortwave bands, methodically logging frequencies as he does every evening. It's technically illegal. Civilian radio operation was banned in 1939, but the authorities have bigger concerns than a schoolboy fiddling with coils in his attic. His logbook is meticulous: frequency, time, signal strength, estimated direction. Most of what he hears is mundane: coded Allied transmissions, atmospheric interference, the occasional German propaganda broadcast from Hamburg. Then, at 21:47 Greenwich Mean Time, something changes. A signal emerges from the static, brief, sharp, mechanical. Not voice. Not Morse code either, though it has a rhythmic quality. Thomas leans forward, his breath fogging his glasses. He adjusts the tuning knob with practiced precision, and the signal clarifies, a series of rapid pulses, evenly spaced, like an electronic heartbeat. Frequency: 143.5 kHz. He's never encountered anything on this frequency before. It's too low for standard voice communication, too high for most navigational beacons. He notes the bearing using his improvised direction-finding loop antenna, approximately 290 degrees, somewhere out in the western approaches. The transmission lasts 17 seconds, then vanishes. Thomas sits motionless, his pencil hovering over the logbook. His mind races through possibilities. Naval traffic? Atmospheric anomaly? Equipment malfunction? But there's something about the precision of those pulses, the mechanical regularity, that feels deliberate, purposeful. He waits. 20 minutes pass. The rain intensifies, drowning out the world below. His mother calls up the stairs. "Thomas! Lights out in 10 minutes." But he barely hears her. Then, at 22:14, the signal returns. Same frequency. Same pattern. Same bearing. This time, Thomas times it with his father's stopwatch, 19 seconds. The pulses are identical to the first transmission, down to the rhythm and spacing. This is no accident. This is a beacon. A coordinate system. A homing signal. His stomach tightens. He knows what German U-boats do. They hunt in wolf packs, coordinating attacks through encrypted radio communications. They surface at night to recharge batteries and transmit position reports. And they use specialized frequencies to guide themselves to targets. What if this is exactly that? What if he stumbled onto a frequency the Germans think is hidden, monitoring it from his illegal attic station while they guide submarines toward an Allied convoy? Thomas grabs his logbook and tears down the attic stairs, his socks slipping on the wooden steps. His mother is in the kitchen, darning socks by candlelight. Coal is rationed, electricity is precious. "Mom, I need to use the telephone." She looks up, startled by the urgency in his voice. "At this hour? Who could you possibly?" "It's important. It's about the convoy routes." Her expression hardens. Everyone in Portsmouth knows someone who's been lost at sea. Her own brother went down with HMS Hood last year. "Thomas, you're not to get involved in." "Please, Mom. Just trust me." Something in his eyes convinces her. She nods toward the hallway. 5 minutes. No more. Thomas dials the operator, his hands trembling. "I need to be connected to the Royal Navy headquarters." "It's urgent." "Son, prank calls are." "This isn't a prank. I've detected a German homing signal on an unauthorized frequency. There might be U-boats moving toward a convoy." There's a long pause. Then, with audible skepticism, "Hold the line." The wait feels eternal. Static crackles. Rain drums. Finally, a crisp voice cuts through. "Lieutenant Commander Hayes, Naval Intelligence." "Who is this?" Thomas takes a breath. "My name is Thomas Whitaker. I'm a radio enthusiast in Portsmouth. Sir, I've detected what I believe to be a German U-boat homing beacon on 143.5 kHz. 2 transmissions, 19 minutes apart, bearing 290 degrees. I think they're coordinating an attack." Silence on the other end. Then, "How old are you, son?" 16, sir. "But that doesn't matter. The signal is real. I can show you the recordings, the bearings, the—" "Mr. Whitaker, we have trained personnel monitoring all known German frequencies. If there were a threat, we would know about it. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but they're using a frequency you're not watching." Thomas's voice cracks with frustration. 143.5 kHz. It's outside the standard naval bands. That's why they chose it. That's why you haven't seen it. Another pause. Hayes's tone shifts, just slightly. "You have direction-finding equipment?" "Yes, sir. Homemade, but calibrated. I can triangulate within 5 degrees. "And you're certain of the bearing?" "Yes, sir. 290. Western approaches." Hayes exhales slowly. Thomas can almost hear him calculating, weighing the possibility that a schoolboy might know something the entire Royal Navy has missed. "Stay by your radio, Mr. Whitaker. If you detect that signal again, note the exact time and duration. Someone will be in touch." The line goes dead. Thomas stands in the darkened hallway, his heart pounding. He doesn't know if Hayes believed him. He doesn't know if anyone will act on his information. But he knows one thing with absolute certainty. Somewhere out in the black Atlantic, beneath the storm-tossed waves, German submarines are moving into position. And a convoy, packed with soldiers, ammunition, food, fuel, is sailing straight into their trap. Thomas doesn't sleep. He returns to the attic, ignoring his mother's protests, and stations himself at the radio. The rain has eased to a persistent drizzle, and through the window he can see the faint glow of Portsmouth's blacked-out streets, street lamps extinguished, windows covered, the city rendered invisible to German bombers. At 23:41, the signal returns. Same frequency. Same pattern. But this time, Thomas is ready. He connects a wire recorder, another salvaged treasure from his father's collection, and captures the transmission. 22 seconds. The bearing has shifted slightly, now 288 degrees. The source is moving, closing in. He plots the positions on his North Atlantic map, using a ruler and compass to draw intersecting lines. If his calculations are correct, the transmissions are originating from somewhere west of Ireland, roughly 200 nautical miles offshore. prime hunting grounds for U-boats targeting the western approaches, the vital corridor through which nearly all Atlantic convoys must pass to reach Britain. Thomas scribbles notes in his logbook, his handwriting barely legible in his haste. 3 transmissions. Pattern consistent. Source mobile, heading approximately 095 degrees, eastward. Estimated speed, 8 to 10 knots. Convoy intercept likely. He grabs the telephone again. The operator, recognizing his voice, doesn't argue this time. Within minutes, he's connected to Lieutenant Commander Hayes. Mr. Whitaker, I was hoping not to hear from you again tonight. The signal returned, sir. 3rd transmission at 2341. The bearing has shifted. They're moving east. If there's a convoy in that area, they're heading straight for it. There's typing in the background. Hayes is consulting something. Charts, perhaps, or convoy schedules. What makes you think this is a U-boat signal and not atmospheric interference? A malfunctioning beacon. Because it's too precise, sir. Exactly timed intervals. Directional. Mobile. And it's using a frequency that conventional receivers wouldn't monitor. 143.5 kHz is in a gap between standard maritime and aeronautical bands. It's a deliberate choice. More typing. Then Hayes's voice drops, the skepticism replaced by something else. Concern. There is a convoy in that area. Convoy HX 217, westbound from Halifax. 43 ships. Departing the escort rendezvous point at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Thomas's blood runs cold. 43 ships. Thousands of men. Millions of pounds of cargo, tanks, aircraft, ammunition, food. If even a quarter of them are sunk. Sir, if the Germans are using this frequency to coordinate, they might already have multiple boats in position. They could be forming a wolf pack. Hayes is silent for a long moment. When he speaks again, his tone is clipped, professional. Mr. Whitaker, I'm going to pass this information up the chain. And this is a significant if your analysis is correct, you may have identified a serious threat. But I need you to understand something. Redirecting a convoy costs time, fuel, and planning. If we alter course based on faulty intelligence, we expose those ships to other risks. False alarms kill just as surely as torpedoes. I understand, sir. Good. Continue monitoring. If you detect anything else, call immediately. And Mr. Whitaker? Yes, sir. If this turns out to be nothing, you'll have a very difficult conversation with some very senior officers. I hope you're prepared for that. The line clicks off. Thomas sits back in his chair, the weight of responsibility settling onto his narrow shoulders. He's just told the Royal Navy that their convoy is in danger based on his interpretation of 3 radio signals captured on homemade equipment in a Portsmouth attic. If he's wrong, he's wasted valuable time and resources. Officers will be furious. He might even face charges for illegal radio operation. But if he's right, and he stays silent. He turns back to the receiver, adjusting the dial back to 143.5 kHz, and settles in to wait. Somewhere in the North Atlantic, 290 miles west of Ireland. Captain Lieutenant Reinhard Kopf stands on the conning tower of U-506, binoculars pressed to his face, scanning the horizon. The ocean is a rolling expanse of black glass, illuminated only by starlight now that the storm has passed. The diesel engines rumble beneath his feet. They've been surfaced for nearly 2 hours, recharging batteries and transmitting position reports. Funkrum, he calls down the hatch. Status on the beacon? Transmission complete, Herr Calhoun, comes the reply from the radio room. Next scheduled pulse in 20 minutes. U-203 and U-441 have acknowledged position. The wolf pack is forming as planned. Kopf allows himself a thin smile. 3 boats. 3 hunters moving into the convoy's path like wolves circling a herd of sheep. British naval intelligence has grown too reliant on ultra-intercepts, decrypted Enigma transmissions, and the Kriegsmarine knows it. So they've adapted. This new coordination system doesn't use Enigma at all. Instead, they employ a simple low-frequency pulse beacon that transmits bearing information in a code so basic it doesn't require decryption. The British aren't even listening to this frequency. It's invisible to them. Helmsman, maintain course 095. Ahead slow. We'll reach the intercept point by dawn. Jol Her Kaloon. Kopf descends into the cramped control room, where charts are spread across the navigator's table. Red marks indicate estimated convoy positions based on intelligence reports. The target, designated HX-217, is a large westbound convoy, likely carrying war material to resupply American forces in Britain. Rich pickings. How many escorts? He asks. Intelligence suggests 6 destroyers, possibly 2 corvettes. Standard formation. They won't be expecting us this far west. Kopf nods. The key to Wolfpack tactics is surprise and overwhelming force. 3 submarines attacking simultaneously from different bearings. The escorts can't defend against all of them. Some torpedoes will get through. Some ships will sink. And every ship sent to the bottom is a victory for the Third Reich. Prepare tubes 1 through 4. We attack at first light. Back in Portsmouth. At 1:03, the signal appears again. Thomas is ready, wire recorder spinning, pencil poised over his logbook. This time, the transmission lasts only 15 seconds, but the bearing has continued to shift. Now 286 degrees. Still moving east. Still closing on the convoy. He plots the new position and draws a line connecting all 4 intercepts. The pattern is unmistakable, a converging course, intersecting with the convoy's known route at approximately 52 degrees north, 15 degrees west. They'll meet at dawn. Thomas dials Naval Intelligence again. Hayes answers immediately. He's clearly been waiting. 4th transmission, sir. 1:03 hours. Bearing 286 degrees. They're accelerating. I estimate intercept with the convoy at approximately 6 to 7 o'clock hours. Hold on. More typing. Then another voice joins the line. Older, more authoritative. Mr. Whitaker, this is Captain Turnbull, Operations Directorate. Lieutenant Commander Hayes has briefed me on your reports. I need you to be absolutely certain. You're detecting a coordinated signal on 143.5 kHz, bearing west-northwest, moving eastward at approximately 8 to 10 knots. Yes, sir. 4 transmissions now, all consistent. This is not interference. And you believe this represents multiple U-boats forming a wolf pack? Yes, sir. The timing of the transmissions suggests coordination. They're using this frequency because they know we're not monitoring it. Turnbull exhales slowly. Mr. Whitaker, based on your information, I'm recommending an emergency course alteration for Convoy HX-217. The escort commander will receive new routing instructions within the hour. If you're wrong about this, it will cost us time and fuel. If you're right. I understand the stakes, sir. Good. Continue monitoring. Report any changes immediately. And Mr. Whitaker? Yes, sir. If this convoy makes it through intact, you'll have my personal thanks. If not, well, war is full of difficult choices. The line disconnects. Thomas sits in the darkness, staring at his radio. He's just altered the course of an entire convoy, 43 ships, thousands of men, based on signals that no one else is hearing, interpreted through equipment he built himself. The weight of it is crushing. But he can't stop now. He returns to the receiver, fine-tuning the dial, listening to the static and interference, waiting for the signal that will tell him whether the Germans are adjusting their course. whether they know the trap has been discovered. At 2:17, the signal appears again. But this time, something is different. The bearing hasn't changed. 286 degrees. The source isn't moving anymore. They're waiting. Hunting. Dawn breaks over the North Atlantic like a wound, the sky bruised purple and gray, the ocean a churning field of whitecaps and foam. The Convoy HX 217 steams eastward in a staggered formation. Merchant ships arranged in 9 columns, their hulls painted in dull wartime gray, smoke streaming from funnels. Destroyers prowl the perimeter like sheepdogs, their sonar pinging into the depths, searching for the predators everyone knows are out there. On the bridge of HMS Vanquisher, a V-class destroyer serving as escort commander, Commander Arthur Pembroke studies the revised routing orders that arrived via encrypted wireless at 2:30. The message was terse, urgent. Intelligence indicates possible wolf pack intercept. Alter course to 105 degrees. Increase speed to 9 knots. Maintain heightened alert. Pembroke doesn't like it. Course alterations cost time, expose the convoy to extended vulnerability, and burn precious fuel. But he's seen enough convoys massacred to know that ignoring intelligence, even questionable intelligence, is suicidal. If naval operations says turn, you turn. Helm, maintain new course. Signal all ships to tighten formation. I want escorts at maximum vigilance. Sonar continuous sweep. Aye, sir. The convoy adjusts, 43 ships executing a ponderous turn like a herd of elephants changing direction. Tankers, freighters, cargo vessels, each one crammed with the sinews of war. Tanks lashed to decks. Aircraft crated in holds. Ammunition, fuel, food. If even a fraction of this cargo is lost, the war effort suffers. Pembroke raises his binoculars and scans the horizon. Clear seas. No contacts. But he knows the ocean is deceptive. Beneath the waves, invisible and patient, the hunters wait. U-506, 18 kilometers west of the convoy. Alarm. Periscope depth. The diving klaxon screams through U-506 as seawater floods into ballast tanks. Captain Lieutenant Kopf grips the periscope handles, his eye pressed to the optic as the submarine slides beneath the surface. Around him, the crew moves with choreographed precision, valves spinning, gauges checked, hydroplanes adjusted. Level at 15 meters, the chief engineer reports. Kopf rotates the periscope slowly, sweeping the horizon. At first, nothing but gray ocean. Then, emerging from the morning haze, the forest of masts. The convoy. Right where intelligence predicted. But something is wrong. They've altered course, he mutters, adjusting the periscope's bearing scale. They're heading further south than expected. They should have been at 100 degrees. They're at 105. The navigator checks his charts. That puts them outside our optimal intercept position, Herr Calhoun. We'll need to adjust. Kopf's jaw tightens. A 5-degree course deviation doesn't sound significant, but at this scale, it means the convoy is kilometers away from where they expected. The wolf pack's carefully planned attack geometry is compromised. U-203 and U-441 are positioned too far north. They'll have to reposition, which costs time and increases the risk of detection. Did the British detect the beacon? Impossible. The frequency is secure. The code is too simple to decrypt. Unless. Fulcrum, have there been any breaches in transmission security? Nein, Herr Calhoun. All transmissions executed according to protocol. Kopf lowers the periscope. Prepare for attack run. We proceed as planned. Signal the pack. Convoy bearing 105 degrees, speed 9 knots. All boats attack at will. Jawl. The submarine angles forward, electric motors humming, hunting. Portsmouth, 6:45 hours. Thomas hasn't slept. His eyes burn, His back aches from hunching over the receiver, but he can't stop. Not now. The signal appeared twice more during the night, at 4:12 and 5:50, each time from the same bearing. The U-boats have stopped moving. They're lying in wait. But the convoy has altered course. Hayes confirmed it an hour ago in a brief, terse call. The ships are now steaming 20 kilometers south of the predicted intercept point. Did it work? Did they avoid the trap? Thomas adjusts the dial, sweeping frequencies, listening for any indication of. At 6:47, the entire spectrum erupts. Multiple transmissions, overlapping, rapid fire. German voices, sharp and urgent, crackling through the static. Thomas doesn't speak German fluently, but he recognizes key words: contact, Zerstörer, Angriff, contact, destroyer, attack. The wolf pack has found the convoy. His hands shake as he dials naval intelligence. They've made contact. Multiple transmissions, German voices, 6:47 hours. The attack has begun. Hayes's voice is grim. We're tracking it. Convoy escorts report sonar contacts. Multiple submarines, different bearings. They're engaging now. Thomas can hear the strain in Hayes's voice, the knowledge that men are fighting and dying in real time while they sit in warm offices and attics, helpless to intervene. Did the course change help? Thomas asks, his voice barely a whisper. Too early to tell. But they're not where the Germans expected them to be. That counts for something. HMS Vanquisher, North Atlantic. Sonar contact. Bearing 270, range 2,000 yards. Commander Pembroke doesn't hesitate. Hard starboard. Increase speed to flank. Prepare depth charges. The destroyer heels over, her bow cutting through the waves like a blade. The crew races to battle stations, depth charges rolled into position, throwers armed, guns manned. Every man knows his job. Every man knows the stakes. Contact confirmed. Submarine bearing 272, range 1,800. Fire pattern. The depth charges tumble from the stern rails, splashing into the gray water. Seconds pass, eternal, breathless seconds, and then the ocean erupts. Columns of white water blast skyward, the concussions reverberating through the destroyer's hull like hammer blows. Sonar contact? Still there, sir. Contact maintains bearing. She's diving deep. Pembroke grits his teeth. The U-boat commander is good, diving below the thermal layer, trying to evade detection. But Vanquisher has hunted submarines before. Maintain pursuit. Fire another pattern. I want that bastard. More charges. More explosions. The ocean boils with violence. Then, at 7:03, the sonar operator shouts, "New contact. Bearing 090, range 3,000 yards. Second submarine." Pembroke's blood runs cold. 2 boats. At least 2. Which means there are probably more. Signal all escorts. Wolf pack confirmed. Execute anti-submarine protocol Delta 3. Protect the convoy. Across the convoy, the other destroyers and corvettes spring into action. Sonar pings echo through the depths. Depth charges detonate. The ocean becomes a battlefield. Submarines maneuvering for torpedo solutions, escorts racing to intercept, merchant ships zigging and zagging in desperate evasion patterns. On U-506, Captain Lieutenant Kopf watches through the periscope as a massive tanker crosses his sights. The perfect target, slow, heavy, packed with fuel oil. One torpedo could turn her into an inferno. Tube 1 ready. Range 1,200 meters. Fire. The torpedo launches with a hiss of compressed air, its electric motor propelling it toward the target at 30 knots. Kopf counts silently, his eye locked on the tanker's silhouette. 1, 2, 3. At 48 seconds, the torpedo strikes. The explosion is massive, a towering column of flame and smoke erupting from the tanker's midsection. The ship shudders, lists to port, and begins to sink. Men leap from the deck into the freezing water, their screams lost in the roar of fire. Hit! Direct hit! The crew cheers. But Kopf doesn't celebrate. Through the periscope, he sees a destroyer turning toward them, bow wave churning, closing fast. They've been spotted. Alarm! Take her down. Emergency dive. All ahead full. U-506 plunges into darkness, racing to escape the depth charges that will follow. Portsmouth, 7:15 hours. Thomas listens to the chaos on the radio frequencies. German voices shouting coordinates, British transmissions reporting contacts and attacks, the cacophony of battle compressed into electromagnetic waves. He can't see the ocean, can't hear the explosions, but he knows what's happening. Ships are burning. Men are dying. And it's happening because he made them listen. His mother appears in the attic doorway, her face pale. Thomas, the BBC is reporting a naval engagement in the Atlantic. Is that because of you? He nods, unable to speak. She crosses the room and places a hand on his shoulder. Then you've done what you could. The rest is in God's hands now. Thomas stares at the receiver, listening to the battle rage on, and prays that his warning was enough.